Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Business Standing Committee meeting of Wednesday, May the 6th. We will start with the Land Acknowledgement of Traditional Territory, and that will be read by Trustee Grummett.
My apologies. The Simcoe County District School Board acknowledges that we are situated on the traditional land of the Anishinaabe people. The Anishinaabe include the Ojibwe, Odawa, and the Bodwe Otomi nations, collectively known as the Three Fires Confederacy. We are dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture and committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect with all First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people.
Thank you very much. Please rise now if you're able for the national anthem. The instrumental version of the national anthem is courtesy of Barrie North Collegiate Institute. The statement of respect will now be read by Trustee Grummett.
The Simcoe County District School Board is committed to creating a culture of belonging, engagement, and success for all deliberate actions and an intentional focus in the area of diversity, equity, and inclusion. The Simcoe County District School Board of Trustees will conduct meetings in an inclusive, respectful manner that upholds the principles of respect for human rights and allows all members, staff, and guests to participate fully regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, age, ability, and gender.
Okay, thank you very much. We're now on at the roll call under our agenda. We do have regrets from Trustee Powell this evening. We do have electronic participation by Trustee Foley and possibly Trustee Wilson. Next is the approval of the agenda. Is there someone who would like to move the agenda this evening? Okay, Trustee Harrigan, thank you. And a seconder? Thank you. Talbot, thank you. How could I forget you, Robin? All right, so we have a mover and a seconder. Any questions or comments on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Are there any declaration of conflict of interest for this evening? Okay, none noted. We have no presentations or delegations, so that takes us into items for decision. The first is a staff report, and that's Superintendent Van Nispen on further work on the proposed budget.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table. So tonight, as per our budget season schedule presented earlier this year, we bring the proposed 2026-2027 budget for recommendation. I'd like to start off by thanking Director Stevens and my colleagues at the AC table for their work throughout the process, listening to stakeholder feedback and establishing a budget to meet the needs of our students, guided by our strategic priorities. I would also like to thank Controller Landry and Manager Neve, and all the business services staff who continue to put that extra effort in at this time of year to get this budget brought together. To date, we have not been provided a timeline on when we will be receiving the Ministry of Education's B memos, SB memos, and various documents, including the technical paper, related to the 26-27 budget and core education funding model. This has not prevented us from building the draft budget before you tonight, as we do not anticipate any significant changes to the core education funding model based on the provincial budget that was tabled at the end of March. In discussions with ministry staff earlier in the budget process and presented to this Board of Trustees, all school boards were directed to be conservative in our enrollment projections. From the funding standpoint, funding projections by our staff, we believe to be conservative and materially what the SCDSB will attract in funding from the ministry. This budget was developed to reflect the expected decrease in enrollment of 1%, reducing our average daily enrollment to 56,358, and the reduction in funding thereon. Let's touch on a couple of schedules that have not been seen at this table until tonight. So page 2 and 3 of the budget, or I think it's PDF 4 and 5, is our balanced budget compliance. The budget we bring forward tonight is a balanced budget operating within the expected funding we will be provided by the ministry, now reaching $771 million, and meeting the ministry's expectation and mandate of a balanced budget. As you can see, halfway down that schedule, we have a 0 on that compliance line. As we have in the past, a small operating accounting shortfall is created by amortization of unsupported capital, work done around the education center and a couple of jobs out at schools, which is accounted for through operations and surplus. 2 additional compliance measures were introduced in the core education funding model. These were intended to set guide rails around spending to ensure school boards are not moving excessive funds from their intended purpose. You will find that we are well within our compliance for both the school board administration and facilities and transportation areas. I have presented previously at this table that we are not concerned about meeting these requirements, as we have historically operated in these areas within the funds attracted by them. We then move to page 4, or PDF 6, the revenue and enrollment schedule. Core education funding model lays out what we are expecting to attract. The model does, as it was intended, present the funding in a simpler, more intuitive format, as presented here. Transportation funding received some attention in prior years, in that they have added funding for contracted special purpose vehicles, vans, that many of the school boards utilize. This addresses some of the operational pressures that we have seen historically. However, boards across the province are now seeing significant increases as they enter new contracts with the transportation companies. So we'll be looking for funding to relieve that pressure. Our new contract at this board begins in 26-27. When the budget was compiled, as we often do at this stage in the budget process, we do not have visibility to what responsive education program funding initiatives, supplementary grants, would be continued from the current year. As such, and presented on Schedule 4, we did not include those recognized in the current school year, resulting in a revenue and expenditure reduction of around $2.5 million. We expect REP funding will be included in the ministry funding announcements, hopefully later this month, and upon which planning will then occur. This is consistent practice with past budget cycles. On page 6, you'll find our operating expenses. And as indicated, this is a conservative budget with decreases related to declining enrollment. Majority of our budgetary spend, 87 to 88%, is on staffing, our largest resource. With the decline in enrollment, we have a corresponding decrease in staffing levels in elementary, secondary, and special education panels. Consistent with prior year's budgeting, as we have not received the REP funding details, current positions associated with those have not been included, but will be added back upon confirmation of carried over or new funding elements. A small inflationary increase has been worked in for utilities, insurance, etc., but this is covered by the expected 2% ministry. In conclusion, the draft budget presented here tonight for recommendation is conservative and reflective of the declining enrollment, not only seen by us, but the trend across the province. The Simcoe County District School Board continues operating under the continued pressures that we share with most school boards, but specifically for us, sick leave, the cost of employees being off work, and ensuring occasional staff are in place to continue the support for our students and the operation of our schools. As we have stated in previous years, this is unfunded and boards are responsible to manage that expense. Special education. As special education needs have increased, we have increased spending and gone over the projected envelope for special education. When the budget technical paper is released, we will review to determine if that overallotment is still required. We are hopeful that special education funding is increased upon the release of the paper, but until that budget is received, we are projecting based on previous funding levels. Statutory benefits. This is an ongoing concern in that the ministry will increase funding for contractual obligations, however, do not provide additional funding for the increased cost in benefits that wage increases attract or under regulation have increased, such as CPP contribution limits. And lastly, transportation. With the new contracts across the province with the home to school bus providers, we are seeing significant increases that will be difficult to absorb within the current transportation funding levels. With this proposed budget, the Simcoe County District School Board continues its fiscal responsibility of meeting the ministry balanced budget mandate, as well as use of funds within the compliance measurements. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much for that comprehensive summary. Questions from trustees with respect to the budget? Trustee Armstrong, please.
Thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Nispen. I do have two questions in regards to the budget. One of the you gave us some summary issues, and you did mention special education, the pressures on special education. And I just wanted to clarify that is special education pressures specifically on our board, or is, I would think, I'm assuming, but is this something that is just, in fact, the whole province, all, whether separate or public boards, is that a pressure on all of them also? Because I would wonder the response of the province would be different if it was throughout the whole system bringing up the same issue as opposed to just a few particular boards.
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Armstrong. Now, special education has been an identified pressure by all school boards across the province for many years now. It is one of the items in my speaking notes for the budget that unfortunately has been reoccurring for many years now. It is a topic of discussion when I get together with my fellow superintendents of business. It is a discussion point. We are one of, if not the last school board to now take the specific special education spending outside of the envelope that is provided by the ministry.
Follow-up, Trustee Armstrong?
A second question, or it's a different subject. But.
Okay, go ahead.
In regards to the staff complements, the summaries for elementary and secondary schools, our enrollment is dropping, therefore our staffing is changing. However, if it's an unknown if staff is going into retirement, because sometimes they don't have to give notice at this time if they want to retire in June, July, or August. When that occurs, what happens to the staffing then? Are those positions left unfilled, or does those who are affected by this drop in staffing recalled?
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Armstrong. I'll start, and then I'll hopefully pass it over to my colleague, Superintendent McMeekin. Definitely, attrition is the hope for recall of those employees, and is something that we hopefully anticipate will occur. Over to you.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Armstrong. So you're correct that people sometimes hold their cards to their chest, so we're not sure if they're going to retire and when they will. When that does happen, that opens up a spot for somebody that's on the recall list by seniority to get placed, provided that they have the qualifications.
Okay. Next, I have Trustee Strawn, please.
Thank you. And first, I'd just like to say thank you for the in-depth and compliant budget submission that you've brought to us. I know that it's not an easy thing to do, and it's nice to see that. At the same time, I wish we could spend more money, because we certainly have more needs than the money that's available. And my question was also around, well, a couple of things. One was around the decreases related to the declining enrollment and the mention of the staff. And so okay, let's try this one. All right. So in relation to the staff, we've talked about special education, and declining enrollment will reduce staff in various areas, including special education. But if there, and I think everybody agrees there's not enough funding in special education right now, is there any way in which, knowing that we already seem to have a shortfall, that we could retain some of those staff in that particular area despite the declining enrollment? Is that an option for this budget?
Superintendent Van Nispen.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Strawn. So we have made efforts to retain some of those positions. An example is we do have presented there a reallocation of 4 positions that currently were paid for by the special education directly. We do have agreement that next year they will be paid for out of an alternate source of funding, the SSF local priorities funding. So we are making efforts to maintain some of those services, but as well we do, again, part of the projection is a decline in enrollment in that area as well. Please do note that with regards to, these are projections, when it comes to the decline, we do come the fall, once we actually do have students in seats, reevaluate and adjust accordingly for the numbers that we actually do see.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks. And my next question also relates to declining enrollment. So we see these projections, they're province-wide, but we still have an ambitious capital program where we are building new schools and adding additions to schools. And so can you just generally speak to that, like, and how that impacts the budget, and if it's not in this year, like going forward?
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Strawn. So I'll say our capital priorities are separate from our operating budget. Part of the drive with our capital priorities is we have been playing catch up with regards to space for our students. We were at a point there where we had 360 portables being utilized for students on a daily basis. And so our capital priorities haven't only been dealing with our future students, but dealing with our current situation with students, and so that's helping to relieve that. Although we are seeing that short-term slowdown in building and new families moving into the area, there is still the plans for development. The planning has slowed. It hasn't come to a complete stop across the county. We do have pockets that do reflect that, though. But we do have to continue to look to the future, to those to the future needs of the of our students in the county. And so we will continue with those capital priority submissions and moving those projects forward for not necessarily myself in the current team, but the future team to build and grow our communities.
Okay, thank you. And I think Trustee Talbot?
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Superintendent Van Nispen, I have three basic questions, if you don't mind. I want to compliment you and your staff for a comprehensive budget, well done budget. The first thing is the gifted school. I couldn't find any details on the gifted school budget. Secondly, I just wanted a clarification. Is it $33 million for our busing? And if I can throw in the third question, if you could help me understand, in some of these forms here, it has ADE, and I don't know what it is. I apologize for my ignorance. So if you have time to clarify that for me, please, sir. Thank you.
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you. And through the chair to Trustee Talbot. So ADE is average daily enrollment. So it's just the average number of students that we have in our schools on a daily basis. When it comes to funding for gifted school programming, that is intertwined in our special education and our regular classroom funding. So there is no specific line item in this budget that ties to that. And then transportation, you called out 33 million, and you're probably not far off. Yeah, 32. We're up to 32 million.
Okay, are there any? Trustee Bites, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Nispen. On Schedule 1.1, page 15, and Schedule 1.2, page 16, there's something labeled Support Service Secondment Release Staff. I'm just wondering if you could explain what that is.
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. So seconded staff is when a staff member is released to, for example, a union position. So they are no longer they're no longer holding a position at the board, but we're holding their position at the board, if you will. They are being funded by that external source that they have been seconded to, and then they will return at some point. So during the budget process, if we haven't received or gotten confirmation that we are going to be getting funding for a seconded position, we will back them out at the time of the budget, but then add them back if that secondment continues.
Trustee Bites?
Yes, thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Nispen. Okay, I understand. So this is money that essentially the union pays for these positions. We don't get additional funding from the ministry to pay for these. It's not in the contract negotiations or anything. Are you able to clarify that for me?
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. You are correct. We get full compensation recovery for those positions, and so it is a cost neutral to us. We just have to present that those individuals are still Simcoe County District employees of the board. They just are doing something else that we're getting compensated for.
Follow up, Trustee Bites?
Yeah, no, another question. I just had an idea. Speaking of like when when people are sick and we have to budget for, relief staff, supply teachers and whatnot. I was just wondering, I know it's a big pressure on our budget. I was just wondering, is there a way to present it like this? Like how many full-time equivalents is it that we pay for? And maybe you don't know the answer right now, but I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say, but how many, like all the money we are paying out of our pocket for unfunded sick time, sick leave, or whatever, how many full-time equivalents does that equal? Like, I'm just wondering if, we could I think that might be a little bit, maybe we could ask the ministry or have some funding neutral for it. Like, I don't know if there's a way to do that. I don't know, just a thought.
Dr. Stevens would like to answer this one.
Yes, thank you. And through you, Chair Lloyd, to Trustee Bites. So we can bring a report to talk about that item that you're discussing. It's not presented quite like you're looking for in the budget, but we could bring something to a future meeting.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I have a question. There is a report being released on May 12th by the Auditor General. They're releasing 4 specialty reports. One of those is tied to special education. We have across the province advocated for increased funding for special education. We have written letters, SEAC committees written letters, trustee associations have advocated. Was there any acknowledgement of that or any attempt to address that in the information that you have received related to the funding for this coming year? Are we anticipating any increases? Because there's been so much advocacy work done on the special education area and the needs for greater funding and greater supports, because the needs we're seeing are becoming more complex and greater. So has there been any discussion or any recognition of that, or do you anticipate any increases related to that? Superintendent Van Nispen, I have a feeling I know your answer, but I just have to ask the question.
Thank you, and through the chair to the chair. At this point in time, we haven't been provided any details with regards to changes, adjustments to the funding that we are receiving when it comes later. Special education, as I indicated, is a topic that is up there and is spoken about a lot. But again, we don't have any visibility and have not been shown the cards, if you will, as to what is going to be coming with this technical paper.
Thank you very much. Maybe the Auditor General's report will spike some further discussion. So, Director Stevens, please.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Lloyd, to the table, just to add on to Superintendent Van Nispen, they have advised us to plan for the status quo, and they have given us a little bit of information, but generally speaking, until we see that final push of what the priorities of the ministry will be, we are only speculating. So we're planning, and they've done a wonderful job. The business department, Superintendent Van Nispen and his department have done an amazing job of getting us to this point so that we're ready for when it comes. We're very hopeful that there'll be additional funding in that area, but at this time there's been no indication of any of the minister's priorities.
Trustee Bites?
Yes, thank you. Through you to either Director Stevens or Superintendent Van Nispen. Did you account for the new CEO in this budget that we're going to have to hire? Doesn't that start in September?
The current, based upon the legislation, those changes won't be happening until the contracts expire for the current directors. So we won't have a change in position at this point in time. But Superintendent Van Nispen, if there's anything else you'd like to add.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. Yeah, the indication that was given with what's been presented is that it will be something that is filled with existing complement at the board. So it'll just, at the end of the day, be a shuffle, if you will, of the dollars for that.
Okay, I just had one further question about this. So we're in committee. We will recommend to board that we approve this budget. Then there would be, if between now and the end of the month when we come to board, the technical papers are released, any required revisions would come to us at that point in time. Is that correct? And Ben Nispen.
Thank you, and through the chair to the chair. So I think we had something similar happen last year where I believe they released the technical paper like the day that I presented the budget or the day before. So what we always commit to with the budget is we will take our time, we will review, we will bring it back as soon as if there is any material adjustments. At the very least, we will come back in the September and do a presentation of where that final funding landed and where any adjustments were made.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Bites?
Yes, thank you. Through you. Sorry, there's a lot in this package, so I have a question for Superintendent Van Ispen about Schedule 1.5, page 20. In system priorities, it says a decrease of 4 positions. I was just wondering which system priority programs will be losing staff, and if there's any programs in specific that, or is it just a general cutback? I know we have some great initiatives, with our system priorities. I think we just talked about the math one and such not too long ago. So I was just wondering what the effect will be on our ability to offer programs. Thank you.
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. And so that is actually part of our reallocation column. So it's those positions are just being reallocated within the in the system, and will still exist, just potentially with different duties and priorities attached to them.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? I don't see any, so we do have a motion that the Business Standing Committee recommend that the board approve the 2026-27 proposed budget as set out in Appendix A of report number BSCD-1A, 2026-27 proposed budget dated May the 6th, 2026. Is there a mover for that motion? Trustee Talbot, thank you, and a seconder, and Trustee Grummett. Are there any further questions related to this before I call? I do not see any, so I'll call the vote. All those in favor? And is there anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Okay, the next on the agenda is BSC D1B, revisions to policy 2325, sustainability policy, and that is Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to the table. The policy up for review tonight has the usual corporate standard updates that have incorporated, as well as we have included references to the reduction of greenhouse gas per Ontario Reg 2523. We have included examples of waste diversion, recycling, and organics for clarification, as well as we have a section now that that has an outline of energy management principles. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you for that. Any questions from trustees at the table with respect to these changes? Trustee Strong, please.
Thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Nispen. Do any of our policies specifically speak to solar installation, or is that just like tied up in the energy management piece?
Superintendent Van Nispen.
Thank you. Through the chair to Trustee Strawn. That would be tied up in our actual review of our buildings, construction, and energy management.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, Trustee Bites, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Ispen. I know that we have some lovely heat pump schools, ground source heat pump schools that we funded with some grants way long ago, and they save a lot of energy. I was just wondering if there was any other such grants available or on the horizon, seeing that we have a lot of schools that we're constructing, if we're able to add any of those, whether it be solar, heat pumps, whatever. I don't know if you have any good news for us in that front, please. Thank you.
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. So nothing jumps to mind at this point in time. We do have our D&C, Design and Construction project coordinators, do work closely with our sustainability coordinator, who does keep her eye out for those type of grants, and will do the applications if and when they do arise. We have, and we've spoken at the table actually earlier this year with regards to building components that we're able to work into the designs of our schools now that do try to maximize the energy efficiency, heat loss, cooling, and whatnot. And so that is at the forefront of our design when we are doing things. We do have a budget that we do have to operate within. So things like the ground source heating, not necessarily something we are incorporating right now. At the same time, that is a technology that I believe I've spoken at this table with before that we've had challenges with because of the way we use our buildings, not being 24/7 in operation, and we're removing more heat out of the ground but not putting it back in. So we do look at the various technologies. We do learn from what we've done in the past, and we do try to maximize our efficiency when we're doing our builds.
Follow up, Trustee Bates?
Yes, thank you. Through you, I appreciate that, and I realize that the heat pumps aren't optimally, but still 30% on energy efficiency is still 30% that the government doesn't have to pay. Just that it's not higher. Anyway, I was just wondering if any opportunities do come or during the process, could you just maybe we'd love to hear about that at the table if we find any of that. It's good news to share. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, I don't see any, so there is a motion that the Business Standing Committee recommend that the board approve revisions to Policy 2325, Sustainability Policy, as set out in Appendix B of Report Number BSC-8-1B, revisions to Policy 2325, Sustainability Policy, dated May the 6th, 2026. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Trustee Bites, thank you. Seconded by Trustee Grummett. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. Thank you. That takes us to item C, which is BSC-D-1C, review of Policy 3145, Attendance Support Disability Management Program, and that is Superintendent McMeekin, please.
Thank you, and through Chair Lloyd to the table. Before you this evening is a review of Policy 3145, Attendance Support Disability Management Program. Changes were made throughout the document to align with the Simcoe County District School Board corporate standards, and it has been thoroughly reviewed and determined that all necessary sections of the existing policy are current and in alignment as per Policy 1000 Development Review Process.
Okay, thank you. And questions from trustees for Superintendent McMeekin? Trustee Bites, please.
Yes, thank you. Through you to Superintendent McMeekin. I just was wondering, I know that we've heard some feedback from staff and such about how this program doesn't really feel like support sometimes. It feels like you're getting in trouble. And I was just wondering if the union was, our union partners were consulted in maybe the APMs or the implementation, or if you're able to speak to any improvements made on that front.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites. Yes, the program has been in place and was mandated by the ministry about 12 years ago. We have heard comments about the ASP. Our program is supportive. We have 3 stages that go along with that, but we listen to their input, and we've done things like change letters, provide feedback to staff, and we make sure they're involved along the process.
Okay, thank you for that. Any further questions? Okay, I don't see any. So there is a recommendation that the Business Standing Committee recommend that the board approve that Policy 3145, Attendance Support Disability Management Program, remains status quo as set out in Appendix B of Report Number BSC-D-1C, review of Policy 3145, Attendance Support Disability Management Program, dated May the 6th, 2026. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Thank you, Trustee Talbot, and seconded by Chair Rafiq, please. Going to call the question. All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that's carried. Thank you. That takes us to the next item on our agenda, which is BSC-D-1D, appointment of the Ontario Public School Boards Association's voting delegate and alternate voting delegate for the 2026-27 school year. And Director Stevens.
Thank you. As a member board, the Simcoe County District School Board is required to appoint one trustee to represent the SCDSB at the OPSPA annual and special meetings of the membership and regional council meeting. The board may also appoint an alternate who would have voting privileges in the absence of a voting delegate. Due to the municipal elections taking place in October this year, it is recommended that the board elect trustees to this position for the May 6, 2026 to November 14, 2026 time period. The elections for these positions would then come forward at the regular board meeting in November.
Okay, thank you. So we do have to nominate a someone for the position and an alternate. So normally we separate this into two separate processes. So we will do the nominations for the voting delegate for the OPSPA regional meetings. Chair Rafik, please.
Thank you, through the chair. I know these meetings, a lot of them are on Saturdays, and it's a big commitment, and I'm very thankful to Trustee Lloyd for taking this on for many years, and I would like to nominate Trustee Lloyd.
All right, with that, I'm going to step out of the chair's position and hand it over to the vice chair.
All right, Trustee Lloyd, would you accept nomination? Oh, sorry, I need a seconder. Trustee Harrigan? Trustee Lloyd, would you accept?
Yes, thank you.
All right. Any other nominations? Any other nominations? Nobody up there? Just making sure that online people, no? And last call, any other nominations? Seeing none, it's Trustee Lloyd.
Okay, thank you. And so the motion, well, there is a motion tied to that.
I don't, right here. Just right there. All right. That Trustee Lloyd be nominated as a representative to serve as the voting delegate on the Ontario Public School Board Association. Trustee Lloyd accepted the nomination. Can I get a mover for that? Trustee Rafik, seconded by Trustee Talbot. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Everybody in favor? And that carries. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. So we will be back to go through the second process for nominations for the alternate. It's important that whoever the alternate is able to attend the annual meeting that will be taking place in May as well. So I'll open the floor for nominations for the alternate for the Ontario Public School Board Association. Trustee Armstrong, please.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Brandy Rafik to alternate role.
Okay, thank you. Is there a seconder for that nomination? Thank you, Trustee Grummett. Chair Rafik, will you accept that nomination?
I will, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So then we do have, are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? And for the third and final time, are there any other nominations? Okay, so at this point in time, we need a motion that the board appoint Chair Rafik to serve as the OPSPA alternate voting delegate. Is there a mover for that recommendation? Trustee Grummett, thank you. A seconder? Trustee Harrigan? All those in favor? Anyone opposed? And that carries. So thank you very much. That, Trustee Bites, please.
Yes, sorry, I just had a question, not related to nominations, but about OPSPA in general. Would I be able to ask it at this point, or should I wait till other matters?
Other matters, I'll bring a slight update from the regional meeting. Okay. So maybe that time.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so that takes us into items for information. First being staff report, BSC-1-1A, and that's, might be -1A, and that's contract awards within approved budget, and that will be Superintendent Van Nispen.
Thank you. Through the chair to the table, we have 3 contracts awarded. We've got the Emma King Elementary School addition and renovation. That's a construction of an 8 classroom addition to the existing building with alterations within the existing building to take 3 classrooms and create 2 kindergarten classrooms out of that, as well as a resource room and barrier-free washroom, and a replacement of the existing boilers due to age, condition, and upsizing of the service for the new addition. We also have our continuing renovations at Eastview Secondary School. For that one, we have a single washroom renovation, a group staff washroom renovation, the dramatic arts room and adjoining teacher workroom. We're also replacing the sawdust collector for both the construction technology classrooms, overhauling the floor drainage system in the, I believe, the automotive area, and a replacement of the 2 overhead doors. And then finally, we have Pine River Elementary School roof deck replacement. This is the precast concrete roof deck replacement over a section of the existing portion of the school. Mechanical and electrical systems will be uninstalled and then reinstalled upon that replacement. We'll have structural steel being revised to suit the replacement, as well as new ceiling tile and T-bar being installed.
Thank you for that update. Are there any questions? Trustee Bites, please.
Thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Nispen. I noticed there isn't a contract to build Banting on here. I was just wondering if I could get an update on that, please.
Superintendent Van Nispen, please.
Thank you, and through the chair to Trustee Bites, you are correct. These are tenders that had been sent out and awarded. With regards to Banting, I can say that we met with the architects yesterday, and we're going over plans for what we're looking for with the building, what the community will be looking for, talking about the various engineering disciplines that will have to be engaged. Talked about testing, geotesting that we've already done and have begun. Talked about our land agreement with the town. So just going over all those elements as we continue with the planning and design.
Follow up, Trustee Bites.
Yes, thank you. Through you to Superintendent Van Nispen, thank you for the update. I was just wondering how close we are to a site plan for that facility. When do you estimate that will be ready and go for approval?
I'm going to grant some leeway to answer this question, but then we need to move on because it's really not tied to the approved contracts that we're talking about. Maybe questions for other matters, but Superintendent Van Nispen.
Thank you. Through the chair to Trustee Bites. That is not in the near future. We still have many planning elements with both the acquisition of the property as well as the actual design of the school to work through.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. Any further questions on these projects? Don't see any, so thank you very much for that update. That'll take us to BSC-I-1B, staff recognition, and that will be Superintendent McMeekin.
Thank you. Through Chair Lloyd to the table. It is timely that I'm presenting this report this evening as it is Education Week. And during Education Week, we recognize all staff for their contributions. And we invite you to join us in thanking all SCDSB staff for their positive impact on our school communities. Information has been shared on our social media site and on our website about Education Week. Touching on all 4 areas of the SCDSB strategic priorities, the SCDSB believes that staff recognition highlights dedication, expertise, and commitment, and its importance for staff morale. Throughout the year, the staff of the SCDSB consistently demonstrates professionalism, resilience, and collaboration, and this report highlights a few of the ways in which staff are recognized within the SCDSB. In addition to in-school and departmental recognition, the SCDSB offers the following. You Make a Difference. This campaign was born out of an online consultation regarding staff recognition in 2023, with over 1,300 staff participating. Staff indicated that they valued peer-to-peer recognition, so with that in mind, the You Make a Difference employee recognition program was launched. Staff can access an online form through Staff Web to nominate their colleagues for recognition by listing the nominee's name, work location, employee grouping, and the reason for their nomination. Upon that submission, the nominated staff member receives a copy of their nomination at their SCDSB email address, advising them of the nomination, the reason they were nominated, and the name of the person who nominated them. All nominations are entered into a monthly draw for one of 10 $50 SCDSB branded You Make a Difference gift cards, redeemable at a variety of restaurants of their choosing. Monthly winners are placed on the Staff Web You Make a Difference page, and a cumulative total number of nominees at the end of each month are shared on the SCDSB social media channels and on the Ed Center televisions. As of the beginning of this school year, 1,272 staff have been nominated thus far, so we are trending higher than last year's final total of 1,055 staff. This initiative was developed with input from staff, union partners, and the Staff Wellness Committee. Our Leadership Recognition Program. The SCDSB is committed to attracting, recruiting, developing, and promoting strong leaders in our schools and service departments. Leadership development opportunities are provided for all staff and include the SCDSB Leadership Certificate Program, the Mentoring Leadership Course, a 3-part synchronous mentoring course, the School Leadership Development Program representing various staff groups. To date, there have been 62 course completions. The annual SCDSB Leadership Recognition Evening was held this past April 30th to recognize the participants' accomplishments, with guest speakers including a participant from each course to talk about their learning. Character Education. This year's SCDSB Character Education Awards evening will take place on May 28, 2026. This evening celebrates students, community members, and staff that have made contributions to their school communities. For our next steps, the SCDSB continues to explore and further enhance current program recognition opportunities and programs with feedback from both staff and union partners. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much for that positive report. Are there any questions from staff related to this or comments? Okay, I don't see any. I would just like to say thank you very much for this. I know we've worked over the years to improve how we recognize and celebrate our staff, and I think this sort of acknowledges that, and I think to get more nominations than last year is sort of illustrates how important the program is to people and how much they want to participate in it. So that's a significant number of our staff doing that. So thank you very much for this update, and we look forward to our character night on the 28th. So that takes us to correspondence. We have none. Are there any other matters? Okay, I'd just like to bring up, I did participate in the OPSPA regional meeting that took place this past Saturday. Most of the discussion was respect to Bill 101 and anticipated changes and what might come forward. A lot of questions and unfortunately not a lot of answers either. The bill completed third reading this afternoon and passed, and it now has to receive royal assent. It is anticipated, based upon the discussions at OPSPA, that once that takes place, there will be a number of regulations come forward and a number of directives from the Minister of Education. So I anticipate we will know significant more probably by the end of the school year as to what the new year will bring for us. So happy to answer any questions related to that. Trustee Bites.
Yes, thank you. Through you to you, Chair Lloyd. I was just wondering, when this passes, right, obviously we're not allowed to pay our fees to OSPA. So I was just wondering, what's the plan? Are they going to request that trustees pay for that, or what's the kind of, was that discussed at all, or do you have any insights?
Well, as I just said, the bill just passed third reading today, and so the specifics tied to it through regulation have not been introduced yet, and that will come forward. They're not sure what will happen. There's some uncertainty about that, and I anticipate that will be discussions related to that at the annual meeting that's in June. With respect to that, but there is significant uncertainty about trustee associations and the minister's position on that. There's been a lot of work being done to make sure the minister is aware of the savings that school boards receive as a result of their involvement and collective organization through the trustee association, such as copyright and some of these other things. The collective bargaining will be transferred to code for oversight. The staff from OPSPA that handle that will be transferring to code to complete that on their behalf. From what I understand, I think that was a bit of a surprise announcement to code as well. So there's a lot of work that's taking place to try and get that in place, since our contracts are expiring and negotiations could start very soon. Trustee Armstrong?
In regards to OSPA, I do have two questions for you. One is in regards to the Canadian School Board Association and the impact of OPSPA if it isn't in existence. I would think the support that they're a major supporter of that association. Has there been any discussion about that? And then I have a second question, but also.
I think the best way to answer that is there's lots of discussion. There's not a lot of answers. That's the problem right now. And so, until the bill passed, receives royal assent, and then we start to see the particulars through the regulations and the directives from the minister, no one's too certain as to what will transpire. But yes, it will be a significant impact to the Canadian School Board Association if the Ontario Public School Board Association is no longer viable. There is funds in reserves, but they will only last so long. And so, there's, let's just say there's, I believe, lots of lobby work and lots of information sharing taking place right now.
The second question is about, I guess it's a selfish question. Our school board, Simcoe District School Board, received an award for one of our principals, rather. Kulbar Dhaliwal from Lake Simcoe Elementary School received the award for the Eastern Region Outstanding Service Award from OPSPA. And I guess, that's a small detail that maybe comes, I think OPSPA sends the boards that award, whatever it is, paper or crystal or glass or something, usually in September. So I guess in the mass mayhem of whatever's going on, I'm just wondering if you wouldn't mind as our board rep, just make sure we get that in hand. I wouldn't want Mr. Dhaliwal not to, receive recognition, formal recognition. Again, he has been contacted by OPSPA, but as far as, and the director's office is aware of this too, but typically these things happen in September. Is it going to happen this year in September? I don't know, because this isn't a huge, that office is undertaking a lot of stress. So I just want to make sure we get that in our hands.
I don't see if depending on the outcome of all of this, I don't see OPSPA closing imminently, but it would be something that the long-term sustainability would have to be looked at, and sources of alternate revenue to offset their costs, things like that. So but I'm sure they will make sure that happens. Okay, any other questions? Okay, thank you. Are there any other matters? Okay, I don't see anything. Are there any notices of motion for the next meeting? And I don't see any. So we do have a closed session agenda this evening, so I would need a motion to go into closed session. Chair Rafiq, thank you. Seconder, Trustee Bites, all those in favor? Opposed? And we will go into closed session. Thank you. So we are back in open session of the business meeting. There is nothing coming forward from closed session. So this concludes our agenda for this evening. So would someone like to move that we adjourned? Trustee Talbot, Chair Rafiq, thank you. All those in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.